This is a Windows Phone 7 game review of the game that has the longest title ever in the Xbox marketplace for Windows Phone 7. It's called James Patterson's Women's Murder Club Death in Scarlet. Yeah. So here's the game. So, the Women's Murder Club Death in Scarlet by James Patterson is a little detective game for Windows Phone 7. And this is a classic game, but you've probably seen variations of it before too. And basically it has a little story that's just displayed by pictures and some dialogue words, but there's no spoken dialogue at all. So that's a bit disappointing. So, oh no, that happens. And here's one of the detectives. And you get a phone call, and you go on to the case. It's a homicide, and you have to try to figure out who murdered who. But the problem is, you don't really actually figure out anything. You're given a map there, and there's only one choice on the map every single time. So, okay, you have to go there. And every single step, as you can see, the controls are sometimes a little touchy and don't work well. But every single step is predetermined, really. All these levels consist of is just finding things here, like finding a wrench, a knife, a key, a band, arrow, carrot, boomerang, all this random stuff that has absolutely nothing to do with finding who's the murderer. So you can basically just click on the screen randomly. And, I found that thing. Has absolutely nothing to do with the murder, but sure, let's pick it up. Why not? The only time you actually do something that relates to the murder is when you click on these sparkly things here. And you have to solve puzzles like this. They call them puzzles. And so she's well dressed, but there's no ID. And oh, what's that on her chest? Sun can translate that, so let's take a picture of it. So that's the only real detective work that you do. And if you can find the knife here, then you can actually cut this apart, but you need to find the knife here first. And those are the only few times that you're actually doing anything that seems detective related. The entire story is spoon-fed so that you don't have to solve a single thing. It presents every single little mystery and every single little solution to you. So let's see if we can find a bend or an arrow. You can zoom in and zoom out there, but the controls are really touchy. Like as you see, every single time you scroll and release, it clicks over there for no reason, even though you're clearly not scrolling there. And sometimes it is tough to actually click on objects. You need to try a few times. There's an object. And so you have a timer in each of these, and you're given 5 hints in a series of levels. Like you can click that hint and that highlights an object that you needed to find. And the visuals, when you zoom in, you can tell that they're not very high resolution. They start to become a little blurry and pixelated. So that's definitely disappointing. And right now you're playing as Lindsay. You play as some other characters. Like, I forget what the other character's name. The characters' names don't even matter at all. You don't need to remember anything. The only time you actually need to know a character's name is the character who was murdered. And that's because you have to type her name into a computer in order to look up some of her information. But then all you have to do is just go to the help menu and go into your little info book and look at the name there and type it in. And that was really the only kind of challenging, like, thinking part of the game that there was. these things, you just drag a knife on there to cut up that stuff, and oh, you can pick up those things. You don't even need to read the story here. I mean, it doesn't do anything because you're not actually solving it yourself. You're just clicking through stuff, and all this game really is just a little hide-and-seek game. A little I spy with my little eye, a watch that you probably can't find because the graphics aren't that great. It's not a mystery game at all. You're not solving any grand mystery, you're not doing anything exciting. You're finding random crap in random, well, not exactly random locations. It's a scene of a crime, but you don't really have any motive to care about what you're doing here. I played through the whole game, and I don't know, it's just not satisfying getting to the end of the game. You'll get scored on how fast you find all the things here, but as you see, the next step, it's already set up there for you. And you just have to go here, and here's the part where, as I said before, you have to enter the name of who was murdered. And I forget who that was already, but you can look at your investigation docket, and right there it says Jenny Kwong. The toughest part about this game that I had, other than just finding random stuff here, was remembering her name. Jenny Kwong. So there she is, and you get that information, but you don't even have to look at it because the game's gonna solve itself. You don't need to do any of this stuff. It doesn't matter. All you're ever doing is just clicking stuff. Oh, and after you enter her name there, the controls glitch up here, and I had to quit to the map and then go back to it in order for the controls to stop acting up like they are now. They think that there's another finger touching it when there isn't. That's the second time that happened, and they're still not working. So basically, unless you really like I Spy with My Little Eye games, don't buy this game. It's not actually solving a mystery, and the story isn't really anything great. It's just really spoon-fed to you, and there's no dialogue to carry you through, just written stuff. There's no actual voices to it. And all the stuff that you do is completely unrelated to the murder, except for when you're just being forced to take blood samples and other things like that. I don't know what the original James Patterson series was like, but I am sure it was a lot better than this. This is a sad excuse for a mystery game. Once again, bad controls, bad visuals, and bad gameplay. And this has been WM Power User reviewing a game that you should not buy. But make sure to subscribe to us.